Welcome to another episode of the Confidence to Homeschool podcast. Today, we are going to do things just a little bit differently. You are currently listening to part two of a two-part podcast collaboration. My sweet friend Janeen Marino and I got together and we both wanted to have each other on our podcast. So we have two parts for you. It's super fun. If you want to head over to Kingdom Life Unfiltered, you can catch part one of our conversation. And then here you will listen to part two of our conversation that dives in a little more to homeschooling in Janeen's life and how everything is going with world traveling. So I hope that you will jump over to Janeen's podcast as well, Kingdom Life Unfiltered. And of course, as always, I have it in the show notes for you. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the Confidence to Homeschool podcast. Today, I have a very special interview with Janeen Marino. She is a Jesus-loving, world-schooling mama of 5 boys, which is just beyond so cool. She's passionate about raising kingdom-minded kids and helping other families do the same. With over a decade of homeschooling experience, from RV life across the U.S. to mission-driven adventures around the globe, she brings a real, raw, and redemptive perspective to faith-based parenting and education. Janeen believes learning should be spirit-led, joy-filled, and full of wonder. She's also a business mentor and wellness advocate, helping families create income and impact in the pockets of their days. Whether it's talking curriculum, character training, or calling, Janeen's heart is to equip and encourage moms to walk boldly in their God-given role as teachers, nurturers, and leaders in the home. Thanks, Janeen. I'm so happy you're here.
Yes, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
I saw that you are world traveling and homeschooling, and I just was like, yes, we have to chat because that is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, it was a dream. It's a dream come true. It is. Hard days for sure. There are hard days, but it is a lot of fun.
All right. So I think where I want to begin is like, how do we jump into a crazy world of traveling from, place to place? We're moving. How often do you guys move? Just kind of give me like the rundown of what life looks like.
Yeah, so gosh, how it started is such a God thing. Really, so my husband hated traveling, and longest time I've always been kind of a wanderer. I always loved travel, and there came a point in our marriage where I realized that if something didn't change, then I would likely be traveling alone at some point
Yeah.
because I really had such a strong pull to travel. And honestly, when I thought about it, I thought it would be when the kids were out of the house. I originally
Hmm.
thought like I want to RV around the country when the kids are gone. And so I had at one point asked and prayed about it. And I was like, God, you got to change my heart or change his mind because I was like, I'm just feeling such a uh, pull and it just felt like a rubbing spot of our marriage. And
Yeah.
even when I would like plan vacations, he'd be like, I'm not coming. And then at the last minute, he would come. And I'd be
Oh
like,
my goodness.
like, this is crazy. And a lot of the time it was to come visit his dad.
Oh, how funny. I'm like, you are so brave to travel by yourself
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
I actually one time I had my cousin coming with me because I had just had twins. I had
Oh,
like they were babies. And so I was like,
yeah.
well, I need someone to sit in the car if I have to go to the bathroom. And so then we started that because after praying about it and we were like tent camping and I loved camping. He didn't like the tent. So then we got a pop-up and he was like, there's no AC in here. And then we got an RV, we got a motorhome and he loved it
Yes.
because it was like taking your house with you. And so it
Yes.
didn't feel like he was, traveling. And so that our first trip, we went down to Florida. We lived in Illinois at the time, and we were gone for 3 weeks. And on the way home, he said, let's sell the house. And
Oh
so
my goodness.
I was like, no way. I didn't believe him. I did not believe him. I think it was 6 weeks from the date we got home that we left on full-time travel. We had the house sold. We had, gotten rid of most of our stuff, put everything in a storage unit, and started traveling basically from like national park to national park. That was like kind
That's
of the goal.
so cool. Wow, God works quick, right?
Oh man, that was fast. I mean, I had been praying about it for a little bit, but
Okay.
still, I was really surprised. It was not
Yeah.
something that and it all just kind of fell into place. Everything just kind of worked out. And so we left, and we had been living in like kind of our dream house on 6 acres, and we just left everything behind and decided we were going to do it. And so, we traveled for a while. It was a little over a year. Ended up in Colorado because of kind of life things,
Yeah.
stuff with my oldest, and also COVID happened, and so that was fun to
Right.
bring. And so we were there for a little while, decided we were going to stay there until my oldest got done with high school. And so that was the goal. So we were there 3 years, and we thought we would hop right back in the RV and do that. But for some reason, it wasn't feeling like the right thing. It was kind of like everyone we knew was in RVs, and they were, I don't know, dealing with like, the engine blew out, or there's
Right.
a mold issue, or and RVs are just, I mean, like they're problems.
Yeah, there is a lot. We have lived in an RV at different points in time, and yeah, there is definitely things that come up with them for
Yeah.
sure.
When you drive like a house down the street, it just
Yes.
it things happen to it. So
Yeah, right, right. I know. I think it's so funny because like they weren't technically meant to be lived in, but it's such a fun thing now. And I feel like your husband and I understand each other so well with the fact that I, at one point in time, also was like, no way on traveling. And
yeah,
my husband got me the RV and was like, I was like, yes, please sign me up. I want to do this forever, you know? And so my goal is when he retires in 3 years, I would love to go do a year of US traveling. And so I love that you guys started in that direction.
yeah, yeah. And it's so much fun. I mean, you could do it for way longer than a year. You cannot even see the whole place, especially if you don't. And at first we moved so fast. It was
Yeah.
like we were so excited, and then we got burnt out.
It's
So
a lot packing that RV up and moving it.
yeah, you definitely want to like stay places for a couple of weeks, because then it
Yeah.
starts to feel like home, and it feels much better. But yeah, so after that, I sort of joked we weren't sure what we were going to do. We knew didn't want to stay where we were, and I kind of joked. I was like, well, I was like, we can move to Bali. I heard it's cheaper there. And that's how it started.
Nice.
Yeah.
So did you move to Bali with the intentions of like living there, or did you get there and decide, okay, we're ready to move again?
It was sort of it started with that, but then it was like, well, and my husband was a little hesitant to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna move to this place, and I was half joking when I said it in those,
Yeah.
you know. But when we started really planning it and really feeling like, okay, I think God is really leading us to do this. And I've always like since I was little, like since before I was a believer, always wanted to like kind of help people and like do missions before I knew what missions was, like overseas. Like that was always a dream of mine. And I actually thought, I remember when I was younger, I used to think only celebrities get to do that. Like that
Yeah.
wasn't something I was ever going to be able to do. It was just like a kind of a pipe dream, And
Yeah.
so when we started planning, we were like, okay, we're gonna leave when our lease is up, and we had starting to work it out. And then I was like, well, Bali has a rainy season. And so I was like, well, why don't we just go there for 2 months, and then we'll go to Thailand for 2 months, and we'll just do that, and then we'll figure out what we want to do after that. And actually after that, we were going to come back and get back in the RV. We had plans to go to down to Baja, Mexico with friends, and we had all these different things worked out. Well, 3 weeks into Bali, our flight home got canceled.
My goodness.
And so I called, and I was trying to get another flight, trying to work it out, like our flight home from Thailand. And it just wasn't working right. It was like more expensive, or like a really long flight. Like, I mean, like 45 hours. I was like, with all the stops, I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
We just felt this nudge, and I was like, maybe we should pray about if we really are meant to go back.
Yeah.
And so we prayed about it, and we decided not to go back. So
Okay. So at this point in time, are you homeschooling? And how many of your kids are you homeschooling at this point?
Yeah, so at that point, we had been homeschooling for, I don't know, maybe 8 years or so, 8 or 9 years. And so we started homeschooling before we started traveling, like well before. And my oldest was out of school at that point. So I was not homeschooling him. I did end up homeschooling him a little bit throughout the years, like a semester here, a year here, but for the most part, he went to public school. But
Okay.
my second oldest, who's 14 now, we started homeschooling him in preschool. And so that
Okay.
was kind of when that started. So yeah, we were homeschooling for, well, three because the youngest was still kind of little.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because we don't want to start them too early.
Right.
Okay. So, what does it look like whenever you are traveling? Do you have like a curriculum that you choose, or do you guys carry the books around? Like, how does that look?
Yeah. So it's actually it changes. We are very ebb and flow, like we're very flexible. So when we first left, we left with mostly online curriculum, but I had workbooks for the kids because I was like, well, we need something for when we're like busy or we've got, because we work as well. So we work from home, we work remotely, so we have kind of like they have independent work and then we have like stuff we sit down with them for. So we like to always have a combination of both so that we have a good ebb and flow and so that it's never like, well, we're too busy to do school and then it just like falls
Falls
apart.
by the wayside. Yeah.
And so we always have a good balance of that. And so that's how it started was we had workbooks. Well, we didn't stay for just 4 months. We stayed in Southeast Asia for a year. So we ran out of the workbooks pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So then we did mostly online, and there was a really sweet little, it was like a homeschool school that was
Yeah.
taught by this girl from Canada when we were on this little island in Thailand. And so the kids, our twins, I think they were 9 at the time or 8. They went there for like a month. So
Very
they
cool.
like a month of school there and got to learn a little bit of Thai and, have a little bit of a school experience. It was very small. And so we did that. And then we've really done, honestly, everything. Even like when we were in South America at one point, I came home for a conference and I brought back a travel printer. And we were so excited because we had done most online, and I mean we do a lot of hands-on stuff too, and I give them little things here and there, and they've always got a notebook and a sketchbook, and they do writing and different affirmations and Bible studies. So I mean we do other stuff too, but we do have to have most of it online. But we were so excited to have this travel printer. It was like,
I love it.
oh my goodness. But then as soon as it ran out of ink, we couldn't find ink cartridges.
Oh no. I remember living in the RV at one point and finally getting a printer, and that was like the ultimate. I am so excited. And so I get that. I fully understand that. So
Yeah.
what are some of the online curriculums that you've used that you like? Or do you have any that you've ran into that you just didn't like, that didn't work for you?
Yeah, and we always use kind of a combination of them because I don't first off, we are in different time zones all the time. So once in a while we'll do like an out school class or something like that. But a
Yeah,
lot of the time we can't like have the kids in a classroom at a specific time. Like that doesn't usually work for us.
right.
And so I haven't really found one that I'm like, this is all encompassing and works well for all the kids. And
Yeah.
so it's really been a combination of things from the start of like what works for each one. And it's all kind of different. My oldest really likes the all-in-one homeschool, the easy peasy homeschool.
Yes, I've heard of that.
And actually it is really been good for him because you can actually choose your different classes and stuff, and then every day you just go and it tells you what to do, and it has all the resources digitally, like online somewhere. And he has excelled. He's like almost a year ahead in high school right now based
Oh, awesome.
on that. And so that's been really good for him. And he's really, really enjoyed it. But
And
then
that's free, right?
it's free and it's Christian. They have
Okay.
Bible studies and stuff on there as well, and it's all from a biblical perspective, which I love.
So is there much hands-on with that, or that's pretty much, is there hands-on with that at a younger age, or is that
So if you were to use it at a younger age, which we have done before, it is definitely a lot more hands-on, and it's hard to tell what they did.
okay?
So we have found with our next, like our twins, they'll get confused on what day they're on, what they're supposed to do, and then like one of them will say he did it, and I don't think he did. So we don't use that for them. Like
I get that.
we kind of switched. I think it's great for high school. He is very motivated, very independent, and I think it's amazing. And if you're sitting down with your kids, like the online stuff, we're not like sitting down as much. Like we'll
Right.
do other things with them. We'll do reading and stuff. And we just got them Kindles, so now they've got that, even though they have iPads, which they do
Yeah.
school on, but I had to keep the reading separate because I just really didn't want the distractions. Because, especially with like ADHD, it's really easy to get on there and then I don't know what they did. So we always do a lot of narration. So if I go task them with reading something, they're coming back to me and telling me what they read and talk about it. And then generally I'll give them like some sort of writing assignment to go with it so that
Yeah.
it all kind of connects. And some days that's what they do. And then other days we used to do reading eggs, but we quit
Love
that
reading
one.
eggs.
Yeah,
For
so
the
we did it
littles,
for
I do
a while.
love reading eggs for a
Yes.
younger age. I still do feel like you kind of do have to sit with them.
Yeah, because some
And,
of them just click the buttons. So I have one
and
like that.
and reading eggs makes it easy enough that you can click the buttons. And if you can't hear it,
Yeah.
then sometimes they just get frustrated and then they just walk away and they don't want to do it,
Right.
So I do think that reading eggs is one. I love reading eggs for a younger student, but I do think that, oh, I'm so sorry. That's my, I have an alarm in the middle of the day to remind me to pray in the middle of the day, and that's my prayer timer.
I love
So,
that.
but yeah, I think that reading eggs is great for littles as long as you're willing to sit with them. But you do, so you aren't using that a ton right now.
No, we're not using that a lot right now. We do use Nessie is one that we
Oh,
use.
okay.
So that is one that actually ChatGPT recommended because at one point I was like, all right, I was like, I need to do research on all the things. And so I
Yes.
started asking, I was like, it can tell me all the things I need to know. So we got Nessie. So we've been using that. We use teaching textbooks for math for the older ones. And then just a combination of different things paired with our travels. So a lot of the time we do more like kind of unit studies a bit, but it's
Love
all
that.
digital. So we're using like videos from, maybe YouTube about like wherever we're going or wherever we are. And then we kind of dive into that. And then I'll use that as a lesson, like I'll have
Yes.
them do copy work around that or something along those lines. And the same thing with like Bible studies and stuff. We'll kind of take that and pair that with, doing, copy work and just prayer journaling and stuff like that. So it's really kind of like, I'm not like super regimented on e- like all of the subjects other than
Yes.
like high school. He does have most of the subjects in that, but otherwise it's really more hands-on. And like we everywhere, anytime we're in a city or anytime we're really anywhere, we'll try and find a museum. So we'll go
Yes.
to the museums and learn about what's there, learn about the culture, learn about the food, learn about, so it is really a different style of learning. And while they're not learning necessarily about like electricity in third grade or this and that. Like we do when we talk about it, then we'll be like, let's go learn about electricity and we'll just pop a video on about electricity. There's so much online these days. It's like you could really like school with YouTube and a notebook if you really wanted to.
Amen, sister. I agree with that. Okay, so for anybody who doesn't exactly know what a unit study is, a unit study is basically, and you throw your part of this in as well. A unit study is basically whenever you take all of the different subjects and you can pull so many different things from learning about one particular thing. So, Thailand, like you can learn history from it, you can learn your science from it, like I'm sure that they have different like water systems and stuff like that than what we have here. And language, like of course you can learn language from that. Like there's so many different things that you can pull from everyday life experiences. And I love the fact that you are getting, so would you say like your schooling style is like unit study plus like unschooling kind of? Or what would you say your thoughts are on that?
You know, it's so funny that you say that because I remember when I was first starting and I was like, what kind of homeschooler are we going to be? And
Right.
I remember diving into like all the different ways. I was like, at one point, I'm like, we are going to be Charlotte Mason homeschoolers. And I learned
Uh-huh.
all about Charlotte Mason. And we even followed like oh my goodness, like that we did the Ambleside online and we followed all these different things. And I got so burnt out because I was trying
Yep.
to do it like, I was like, this is from like the 1800s. I was like, this doesn't work in my life. Like maybe if we were like slow homesteaders that didn't ever leave the house, but like it was crazy. And then at another point, I was like, maybe we need to unschool. And so
Yeah.
I tried like, I read all the books on unschooling and I learned all about like all the things. But then I came to a realization that my boys were not going to be motivated to do anything if I didn't nudge them
Right.
a little
Right.
bit. So I was like,
Yeah.
well, we can't be radical unschoolers. We will never get anywhere. And
We're
so
crossing over, she
then
said.
I was like, okay, let's just pick a curriculum and go with it. So I don't know. I think really what it's come down to, and it's looked different in every season of life, is it's just very eclectic. It's
Yeah.
just really like you need this, let's get this. You
Yeah.
need that. It could be considered unschooling because, but we have used curriculum. We've used
Yeah.
science curriculum before, and we've used history, like a biblical history curriculum before. We don't travel with it because that's not realistic for us
Right.
with how much weight books are. But yeah, so I would say it's just really a combination of what is needed and what works at the time, and whatever we're really feeling led to pull in. And so, even with my high schooler, he has his curriculum, but like right now he's finishing up a presentation about the Amazon because we were in South America and we went to the Amazon. And so he's kind of pulling that all together, and I'm going to have him do a presentation and record it on Zoom. And because I want him to get good at doing stuff like that. So it's really just adding in different things. And one of the things I love doing, and we did a lot before we traveled, is making learning memorable. Like
Mhm.
one thing, and we always did these elaborate like book clubs and different parties and stuff. We did a Greek symposium one time and had all of our friends over, and everybody, we did like so many fun activities and like the Greek, like the Olympics. And we
How
had a
fun.
symposium. Everyone wore like togas, even though that's kind of Rome, but we, kind of went with that.
Still so
And
fun.
they all like laid around and ate like as if they were at a Greek symposium and drank
Yeah.
grape juice out of a plastic wine cup. And we're able to like and talk like, we had all these questions of that were like philosophical questions, these deep questions, because that's what they did at a Greek symposium.
Yes.
So So it was, and then each kid did like a presentation on Greece or something related to what we were talking about, and everyone brought food from, so doing things like that, I feel like it just makes it so much better. Like we could have just done that and never learned about Greece, and it would have been so much more impactful than, any of that anyhow.
Sitting with a textbook in front of you, just lecturing you
Yes.
about Greece. I mean,
Totally.
that is the things that they are going to remember
Mhm.
forever and ever. And they are going to be able to pull up those fun facts so much easier than somebody who would just be sitting in school reading it from a book that they have no care about it at all. You
Yeah.
know, like, and they're going to bring up those fun memories of like sitting with their, plastic wine glasses with grape juice. Like, they're going to be, that is so fun because they're literally going to be able to tell people about that forever. And what a cool way to grow up to be able to just like share that
Mm,
experience. And not everybody gets to do that. So it's so fun, so cool.
yeah, for sure.
So absolutely love it. Okay, so moving on from there, how I know because my very first question is how do you guys get to do this? And because I love the fact that you get to travel everywhere. How do you get to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with obviously finding, like working on your remote income, like having an income that you can work from anywhere in the world. And for us, it started, we got into online business, but also my husband was an insurance agent. So he had an agency. But when we were in Southeast Asia, he actually got up in the middle of the night to work.
Oh my goodness.
It just wasn't sustainable. And we also knew that God was kind of calling us away from that anyways. And so he sold his agency and, has been investing. And then on top of that, like just having a business that you can work remotely is absolutely key. But on top of that, I also want to mention too that it's not like you have to be a millionaire to do it, especially if you're picking, different places to go that like the cost of living is much less. Like for us, I mean, we do have an RV and a van here in the States that's like our home base, but we don't have a house. So instead of paying for a mortgage, we pay for Airbnbs. And instead of paying for, soccer camp and, things that you would do if you're like in a house, we're paying for, excursions and different things like that, or a rental car or whatever. So part of it is, finding a way to work remotely. And then the other part of that is, you know, really just switching your spending. Like instead of
Love it.
spending this way, you're spending that way. Like we don't have a lot of stuff. We don't buy a lot of stuff where we go, but we spend a lot on, planes and,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, just being able, I always say like you pick you pick your way of living. Everybody tells me they're like, I don't know how you do it. 4 kids all day by yourself, like home with the kids all the time. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to get up in the morning and get them out of the house and get them to school and fight them and rush around and all of the things. Like that actually sounds 1,000 times worse to me than spending all day with my kids because I enjoy my kids. Like I really get to, hone in and enjoy them and learn with them. And like we've talked about, like learning with them is such a fun experience getting to just go and do all of those things.
Well,
So,
not only that, but you're in control of your day. Like you
yes,
can choose, especially if you're like schooling, like homeschooling year round, like you can take off whatever day you want to take off. And you know what I
yes,
mean? Like you can have a life day and have that ebb and flow of like however you need it to look, you can make it look. If you need to do school in the evening instead of the morning, you can, like you have control over how you want your day to look. And so I love it.
I love it. I absolutely love it. It's been a lot of fun being able to take that time and be with them and just control the day. And if dad's home and we're off, we get to just be off and get to be with dad. So I love the fact that I have looked over, your Facebook page and so on and so forth, and the fact that you have done such a wonderful job pouring in God into your kids throughout all of these experiences. I saw one of your boys with his little notebooks with the I am affirmations. I saw another one where one of your sons was praying over the water and baptizing his brother. And I just thought those were the most adorable, wonderful things. So tell me a little bit about pouring God into your children through all of these adventures.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think it starts with them, like we had talked about earlier in part one, is that it really starts with them catching it. Like they watch us pour into our faith. We do a lot of, like, we go to church all over the world, so that's really neat and a memorable experience for them to be able to, really see different churches from all over. And there was even one that we went to that really didn't feel right, and they noticed. Like they said something about it, and we're like, this
Yeah,
place doesn't feel right, and we actually ended up leaving. But anyways, that's a different story. But I think it really comes down to not only them watching us pour into our faith and spend time in our Bible and spend time in prayer, and really knowing that, like, the way we live our life is really one of radical obedience. I mean, it sometimes seems crazy that we go all around the world and live this way. And really, we are always checking and praying about it first. And so they know that.
yeah,
And, also, we do, worship sessions at home, and we listen to sermons together, and we include them on that. Like, as a, like, we don't always, yes, we do like stuff that's their age level too, but we also don't keep it there. Like they are sit with us and watch sermons online, and they sit with us, and we talk about it. And we talk about what did it mean, and how to connect it to life, and all of those things. But then also we've had the opportunity to be able to serve in different places around the world. Like we spent some time with an orphanage in the Philippines, and we were there, and the boys got to see, not only it was a Christian orphanage, so we were able to really pour into them in a way that, we talked about kind of, what it looks like to talk to God, what it looks like to have faith. And honestly, I think too, one big event that happened with our youngest when he was little was he had a traumatic accident, and he was hit by a car, like he was ran over by
oh
a car,
my goodness.
and he almost died. And the it was like such a miracle that not only he lived, but that he can still walk, like that he walked again. He
Right.
couldn't walk for 6, 7 weeks after the accident. and
Oh my goodness.
and it was such a, like, we had so many prayer warriors and so many people praying for him, and our boys saw that.
Yes.
And so I think that, like, that does something. You know what I mean? Like them seeing firsthand just what that looks like in a very practical way. And not just that, but I mean, it's a long story, but there were so many miracles that happened,
Yes.
and they were like really in that with us. I mean, they weren't
Yeah.
at the hospital with us when we were there, but we were like letting them know this is what's happening. Let's pray about this. And we would
Yeah.
pray about it, and then it would happen. And then, and God just like answered prayer after answered prayer after answered prayer. And I think them seeing that, and even, our youngest, just like he knows that happened.
Yeah.
We've talked about it, and
Right.
he's just kind of coming to an age where he's starting to understand it.
Yeah.
But I think that also has had a big impact on them just in their faith. I think they have a much stronger faith for their ages than most kids, I think, because they've seen it firsthand, and experienced just really unique experiences with different types of people. And they've seen miracles. They have
Yeah.
around the world. So it's
That's
been
so cool.
kind of unique for them.
Yeah, I think that being able to pray out loud in front of your kids. And I mean, I have even done it with like even the small things, Lord help me to find my car keys. Even the small things, I
Yeah,
think that it matters so much whenever you pray in front of your children and let God show up. Let Him show the work that He hears you and He cares about the miracle of, helping save your son all the way to, the small things in life. And I think that it just matters so much. And I think that's so cool that you guys have got to show them, being the hands and feet of Christ and going to an orphanage and getting to see that not everywhere, my kids here in North Carolina, where we're pretty much always in North Carolina or we're in Oklahoma, and life is kind of normal. Like they don't understand the depth of like what is happening around the world, that we are very blessed to be living in such luxury. Even our home here is nothing crazy, nothing like extravagant, like it's a military, salary kind of thing. But yet here would be like a mansion to other places around the world, and them getting just to like pour into, those orphans in the Philippines. I think that it matters so much that they get to see those things. That's such a cool thing.
for sure. And I think there's ways too to teach them those things, even though they haven't seen them before. There's
Right.
so many amazing books. I wish I could remember. I'll send it to you. But there's a really good book that you can pray for each country in this
Oh,
book, and it kind of tells you a little bit about it and shows you some pictures, and so you can like pray for that country. And I remember doing that when before we started traveling. That was something we really enjoyed doing. I haven't seen that book in a while. It's in storage, but
I love it. I absolutely love it. So, okay, so so if we were to dial this back to you being here in the United States, what would that look like as far as regulations for you traveling, as far as homeschooling regulations per state? What would that look like? Do you have a certain state regulation you have to abide by when you're traveling? Does it matter on residency? Do you know?
it's honestly, I mean, whatever your driver's license says, like for, um, honestly, we try to follow like whatever state which we started in Colorado. And so we started there, and we didn't have a whole lot of regulations. And then we just switched to Florida because we had to get we had to update. And so my father-in-law's here in Florida. That's where we are now. And so now we are going to follow the Florida, but I actually haven't done it yet. So I need to do it before this next school year,
Yeah.
but that's basically, we just follow, whatever state and we honestly, there's no like, I mean, we haven't been here. So it's not like
Yeah.
we've only been in the States probably 3 months out of the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's not like they would ever like come after us because they don't know where we are, you
So
know?
what does it look like when you graduated your son out? Because you did graduate him out, right? Your oldest?
My oldest, well, we did that from Colorado.
Okay. So,
Graduated him out of Colorado. And then we'll graduate. Well, Gavin will likely have a home base before we graduate him out. Because at
okay.
some point, we plan on having a home base and then just doing more, and we'll still do like long-term trips, but it's nice to have like a little bit of downtime because
Yeah.
sometimes we move really fast. Sometimes we try to stay places for a while, like we're going to Europe next, and we are moving really fast for like 2 months. And then we have 2 months that will be in Turkey in one house.
Oh my
And
goodness.
that'll be nice.
Okay. So, what are some like things that you do to take care of you through all of these traveling?
Yeah, so I think self-care is really, really important. And sometimes I feel like as believers, we discount that as like, oh, that sounds worldly, but God wants us to take care of ourselves too, because we really
Yeah.
can't. be and do the things that he's called us to do if we are not okay. And so
No, we can't pour from an empty cup.
absolutely. So one of the things that I'm really passionate about is just really having optimal health. You know, I
Right.
think that is key. And so working out, like that's something that like even though we don't have a gym with us, we have, bands and, a jump rope. And so you can always do something. And so
Yeah.
having movement as being part of my day. We also take these bioactive peptides that are made from nature, and that really has helped me tremendously in perimenopause with my energy levels and my focus, and also like when we were in Southeast Asia, it didn't matter what I did. I think it was hormones and stuff. I was just gaining weight. I was doing all the things, but your body does that sometimes. And so
Yeah.
that helped me to like lose fat and start building muscle and really started learning about how muscle is like the key to longevity. And so that I feel like is really important. Also because we have a teenager, it's really nice. Me and my husband make sure that we have date nights still, even
Love
though
it.
all over the world,
Yeah.
and intentional time, and then starting the day with the Lord, like really in my Bible and my prayer journal, and anytime I get overwhelmed because we're doing all the things and life
Yeah.
happens, I really just sit down with him and I have a little bit of a business meeting. It's like my life and business, like he is the CEO of my life and business, and so no matter what I'm doing, I'm making sure that I'm like in his will. And so many times I can come up with all the ideas. Like I want to do all the things, and
Yes.
it's too much. And so I have to like rein it in and talk to him and make sure that I'm staying in my lane.
Yes. Yeah. I call that everybody else's list versus my God list because we do. We put so many things on our list that don't necessarily move the needle for him, you know? And so I definitely think there's a difference between everybody else's list and our God list because we definitely like to add to that. So well, thank you. I have absolutely loved this conversation, and I'm so happy we got to connect. We have two parts to this podcast episode series or collaboration, if you will. And so I hope that everybody absolutely loved and enjoyed these conversations. And Janine, I hope we get to do this again because this was so much fun. I absolutely loved having you. I will put all of the ways you can get a hold of Janine. What's your favorite way for people to reach out?
Honestly, I'm all over social media. You can find me at Life with the Marinos on Instagram or just my name, Janine D. Marino on Facebook.
Cool. And I will put those in the show notes as well, guys, in case anybody is looking for her because she is a beautiful wealth of knowledge and so sweet and so fun to talk to. So I hope that everybody has the absolute best day. And thanks so much for hanging out with us on the Confidence to Homeschool podcast. Hey friend, thanks again for joining me today on your journey to the confidence to homeschool. I hope this podcast blessed you with one more tool of success. If it did, please scroll down to the bottom of your screen and leave me a review. Share it with a friend. Just remember, confidence in anything takes practice, so let's grow.